You're fired. Consider it my gift to you. The words burned themselves into my vision as I stood there in my wedding dress, bouquet still clutched in trembling hands. Just moments before, I had said, I do, pledging myself to the love of my life. And now, standing in the quiet hum of the church vestibule, surrounded by drifting flower arrangements and the faint buzz of excited guests, I stared at my phone, completely numb. Jason Harper, my boss's son, the man who had made my life miserable at work for the past 3 months, had chosen my wedding day of all days to fire me. I showed the message to Zoe, my brand new husband. His reaction caught me off guard. Instead of anger or shock, a knowing smile curved across his face. He took my shaking hands in his, kissed my knuckles gently, and whispered, "Check your messages later. Today is ours." How could he be so calm? I had just lost my job as lead project manager at the city's most prestigious architecture firm, the position I had poured every ounce of effort into over the last 2 years. Yet, looking into Zoe's steady eyes, I felt a flicker of trust. I silenced the phone, tucked it into the maid of honor's purse, and let Zoe guide me through the grand church doors, into a shower of rose petals and the cheers of our guests. 3 hours later, as we swayed to our first dance, Ivy, my maid of honor, practically barreled into me, eyes wide with panic. "Lila, your phone won't stop buzzing. You have 108 missed calls." I grabbed my phone, heart sinking, and saw the flood of calls, my coworkers, the office line, and 17 calls from a number I recognized immediately, Victor Harper. Jason's father. The owner himself. And then it hit me, this wasn't just about being fired. This was the opening of something far bigger than I could have ever imagined. Before I dive back into the chaos, if you're enjoying the story, take a second to like and subscribe. Too many listeners just drift past these stories, and that means the algorithm could skip you entirely. Trust me, you'll want to know how this ends. Back to my wedding day nightmare. My name's Lila Montgomery. Until that text, I was the heartbeat of Crescent Design Studio. I'm the type of person who color codes grocery lists and can spot a measurement error in a blueprint from across the room. My coworkers called me the database because I remembered every client preference, every project detail, every deadline, without ever needing notes. Both of my parents were teachers who drilled into me the value of precision and hard work. When my dad had a stroke during my first year of college, I almost dropped out to help Mom cover medical bills. Instead, I doubled my course load and worked nights at a printing shop. I graduated with honors in architectural project management, with minors in computer systems and urban planning. That's how I ended up at Crescent, 2 years ago. Victor Harper had recognized something unusual in me, a rare blend of architectural skill and systems thinking. He brought me on board to modernize their project management workflow. I built a proprietary system from scratch, tracking every blueprint version, client request, budget allocation, and permit application. The results were remarkable. Project completion times dropped by 30%, client satisfaction skyrocketed, and Victor called me the best investment the company had ever made. Then came Jason. 32, bouncing between divisions, never quite finding his footing. He had his father's jawline and posture, but none of his skill or charm. 3 months ago, Victor announced semi-retirement and promoted Jason to department director, my direct supervisor. And suddenly, everything changed. Meetings I used to attend were closed to me, credit for my innovations vanished, and training sessions I organized were canceled as unnecessary expenses. It was during this storm that I met Zoe. I was submitting plans for Crescent's biggest project yet, a downtown revitalization worth millions, when I first saw him at the city permit office. Calm, thoughtful, meticulous. He actually reviewed submissions instead of rubber stamping them. We connected over blueprints, then coffee, then dinner. Zoe became my refuge from the increasingly hostile work environment. What I didn't realize then was that he was noticing irregularities in Crescent's submissions, particularly ones handled by Jason. 2 months into our relationship, he proposed. We planned a small, practical wedding, partly because neither of us wanted extravagance, partly because I could sense the instability at Crescent creeping closer. I never imagined Jason would fire me on my wedding day. Later, in the bridal suite, I finally checked Victor's voicemail. Lila, this is Victor. Call me immediately. Jason had no authority to terminate you. There's been a terrible mistake. We need you. The downtown project submission deadline is Monday, and no one can access your system. One message after another followed, each more desperate than the last. By the final voicemail, Victor's voice was stripped of its usual authority. Lila, please, the Westside development team is threatening to walk. No one can find the updated renderings. The password Jason tried doesn't work. We're at a standstill. I sank onto the edge of the velvet settee, wedding dress pooling around me. And for the first time in hours, I felt something I hadn't expected, power. For 2 years, I had built a system so intuitive to me that I navigated it without thinking, but so intricate that no one else could manage it without proper training. Training that Jason had actively blocked. I was the only person alive who truly understood every function, every shortcut, every failsafe. Zoe found me there, sitting in the bridal suite, staring at my phone. He sat beside me carefully, avoiding wrinkles in my dress. I should tell you something, he said quietly. The plans Jason has been submitting to my department, he's been altering them after engineering signs off. Removing safety features, swapping in cheaper materials, stuff that would never pass a proper inspection. My blood ran cold. That's not just unethical, it's dangerous. Zoe nodded slowly. I've been documenting everything. I was planning to report it next week, but now I understand why he smiled at your firing text. I frowned. Why? This isn't a setback, he said, his voice calm. It's an opportunity. One that removes you from legal liability while leaving the company completely stuck without you. I felt a chill run down my spine. So, what do we do? Zoe's smile was gentle, almost mischievous. Nothing. Not today. Today we dance. Tomorrow, we fly to Bice for our honeymoon. He leaned over and kissed my forehead. And when we come back, we reshape the entire landscape. We returned to the reception, and I let myself get lost in the music, dancing as though the world had melted away. By midnight, my phone was blinking with 212 missed calls. Throughout our honeymoon week, the calls didn't stop. I sent them all to voicemail. Victor's messages shifted from urgent to desperate, then to practically begging. On the third day in Bice, as Zoe and I sipped fresh coconut water on the beach, a message from Victor made me pause. He offered to triple my salary if I returned. I deleted it, no reply. 2 days later, another message, partial ownership of the firm. Again, I didn't respond. Zoe watched silently as I declined these extraordinary offers, understanding something fundamental about me. This had never been about money, it was about respect. You know, he said, watching the sunset on our final evening in Bice, there's a vacancy on the consulting team for the city planning department. They need someone who understands architectural submissions from every angle. Someone who can create proper protocols for the system. I turned to him, intrigued. Are you suggesting what I think you're suggesting? I'm suggesting you start your own consulting firm, he said. The city could be your first client. They'd pay for your expertise, systems that catch exactly the kind of corner-cutting Jason was doing. The idea hit me like a spark. By the time our plane touched down, I was drafting a business plan on my tablet. 3 days later, Precision Protocol Consulting was officially registered. Within minutes of the registration going public, my phone rang. Victor Harper. For the first time in 2 weeks, I answered. Lila, thank God, we're in crisis. The downtown project is stalled. Clients are walking. Please, name your price. I spoke calmly. I'm sorry to hear that, Victor. But I'm no longer available for employment. I've started my own consulting firm. We'll hire your firm instead. Whatever your rate is, we'll pay it. I let the silence stretch. My first client is the city planning department. I'm designing new verification protocols for building submissions. A sharp intake of breath told me he understood immediately. If I was working with the city to create better verification systems, I would inevitably uncover Jason's dangerous alterations, if Zoe hadn't already reported them. Lila, please, he said. Jason made a terrible mistake. He was jealous of you, your competence, your relationship with me. Let me fix this. Some things can't be fixed, Victor, I replied. Some bridges, once burned, stay ash. I ended the call and turned to Zoe, who had been quietly listening. Is it wrong that this feels so good? I asked. He shook his head. It's not wrong to stand up for yourself, or for public safety. The following week, I began my contract with the city. With insider knowledge of how firms like Crescent operated, I quickly identified weaknesses in the verification system. I implemented new protocols designed to catch unauthorized changes to approved plans, especially structural modifications done without engineering approval. As part of the process, the city audited recent submissions. Unsurprisingly, they found multiple violations in Crescent's downtown project plans, all linked to Jason's handling: load-bearing walls thinned, foundation specs altered, safety features removed to cut costs. The investigation was swift and damning. The downtown project was permanently halted and reassigned to a competing firm. Jason didn't just get fired, he was blacklisted industry-wide, his professional license suspended pending review. Crescent Design Studio lost millions. Their reputation, built over 30 years, crumbled in 30 days. I even heard Victor had suffered a minor heart attack from the stress. Despite everything, it brought me no joy. He had been a good mentor once, before his blind spot for his son clouded his judgment. My consulting business thrived. Within 6 months, I had contracts with 3 municipal governments and was hiring staff to keep up with demand. Zoe earned a promotion at the permit office for his ethical stand. We bought our first home, a fixer-upper with strong bones and endless potential, just like our life together. Then, exactly 1 year after my wedding, a thick cream envelope arrived at my office. Inside was a handwritten letter from Victor Harper. Dear Lila, it began. Some debts can never be fully repaid, but acknowledgement is the first step toward atonement. I've spent this year rebuilding what my son and my negligence destroyed. Jason has completed a professional ethics program and now works in a junior role under strict supervision. He understands the gravity of his actions. Crescent has new leadership and protocols. Every system and submission process has been overhauled. We are a different company now. I'm writing to ask if you would consider meeting with me, not to return, but to consult on our new systems to ensure we never fail the public trust again. Whether you accept or decline, know that my respect for you has only grown. You were right to stand your ground, protect the public, and demand better. With sincere regret and admiration, Victor Harper. I showed the letter to Zoe that evening. What do you think? Should I meet with him? He considered carefully. What would be your purpose? Closure? Vindication? Professional curiosity? All of those, I admitted. And maybe, to see if genuine change is possible. Then you have your answer. I scheduled the meeting for the following week. When my assistant told me Victor had requested the meeting at Crescent's offices rather than mine, I nearly cancelled. Returning there felt like stepping backward. But curiosity won. When I arrived, the receptionist, a new face I didn't recognize, greeted me with surprising warmth and respect. I've reconsidered your offer, I told Victor. I'm not interested in consulting for Crescent. The silence that followed was thick, almost tangible. Finally, he said, I understand. However, I continued, I am interested in something else, a partnership. A partnership? His voice carried surprise. I explained carefully. My company handles all project management and regulatory compliance. Crescent focuses on design and construction. We operate as independent entities, but to clients, we present a united front. That way, I keep my independence while making sure ethical standards are never compromised. Victor paused, processing the idea. That's highly unusual, he said slowly. So is firing someone on their wedding day, I countered. I'm not coming back to a company where I could be undermined again. But I am committed to making sure the downtown project is completed correctly. The community deserves nothing less. A long pause followed. What about Jason? Victor asked. Where does he fit in this arrangement? Jason works for you, I said firmly. Not for me. But any project he touches goes through triple verification by my team. No exceptions. Another pause. I'll need to run this by my board. You have 24 hours, I replied. After that, I'll be submitting my own proposal to the city for the downtown project. I ended the call with a feeling I hadn't felt in years, full control over my future. I wasn't reacting to what had been done to me anymore. I was creating something new, on my own terms. 23 hours later, Victor called back. The board has approved your proposal, he said, with one addition. They're asking for a 3-year minimum commitment, 2 years guaranteed, with an option to extend based on agreed-upon performance metrics. I responded with one word, done. And just like that, Precision Protocol Consulting had its largest client yet. 2 weeks later, the competitor firm was officially removed from the downtown project. Our partnership was ready, updated plans, enhanced safety measures, and a comprehensive management system that combined the best of my original design with added security protocols. The city awarded us the contract, impressed by a model that married creative design with rigorous compliance verification. The press called it a groundbreaking blueprint for architectural accountability. Jason was assigned junior project coordinator, 5 levels below his previous position. Every morning, my team sent him a detailed training module. Every evening, he was tested on it. Fail, and he repeated it the next day. Remarkably, he never complained. He approached each task meticulously, asked intelligent questions, and slowly began to grasp why procedures existed in the first place. 3 months into the project, I arrived early for a site inspection, and found Jason already on site, systematically comparing concrete pour specifications against the approved plans. You don't have to personally verify this, I told him. That's what the site engineers are for. He straightened, clipboard in hand. I know, but I want to understand every detail from the ground up. That's the only way I'll truly learn. I studied him, searching for the arrogant young man who had fired me by text. Instead, I saw someone changed by failure, genuinely striving to rebuild himself. Why did you do it? I asked suddenly. Why fire me on my wedding day specifically? Jason flinched, but met my eyes. Because I knew you were right about everything, the training programs, the safety concerns, the proper documentation, and I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand that you'd built something so essential that even my father respected you more than me. So, I tried to hurt you when you were most vulnerable. He lowered his head, shame evident. I thought I'd feel powerful. Instead, I watched everything crumble, the system no one else could navigate, the projects nobody could track, my father's face when he realized what I'd done. In one moment, I destroyed what could have been the best mentorship I'd ever had. His words hung in the air, unexpectedly raw. You can't undo the past, I said finally. But you're right about one thing. I could have been a good mentor. I still could be, if you earn it. Hope flickered across his face. How? He asked. By becoming the kind of professional who values safety and integrity above ego. By learning every aspect of this business properly. By admitting when you don't know something instead of hiding it. I can do that, he said quietly. I will do that. I nodded. Then let's start with these poor specifications. Show me what you found. For the next hour, I walked him through proper verification procedures, explaining the why behind every rule, not just the steps. He absorbed everything, asked thoughtful, probing questions, and demonstrated a mind capable of far more than I had given him credit for. As we wrapped up and the rest of the crew arrived for the day, Jason hesitated. Do you think you'll ever truly forgive me? I considered my words carefully. Forgiveness isn't something you're owed. It's something that might grow over time, earned through consistent actions rather than apologies. Show me who you're becoming, not who you regret being. He nodded, accepting the challenge without argument. Over the following months, the downtown project surged ahead of schedule. Our partnership model gained national attention, inspiring other municipalities to explore similar arrangements. My consulting firm grew to 15 employees, while Crescent gradually rebuilt its reputation under the new system. Victor stayed true to his word. Jason remained on a strict learning path. The young man who once sabotaged training now organized them himself, ensuring every team member understood not only how to follow protocols but why they existed. 6 months into the project, Maya, my former assistant at Crescent, visited my office. She had stayed behind when I left and now worked directly with Victor. He wants to promote Jason, she said bluntly. To assistant project manager. I raised an eyebrow. And he sent you to gauge my reaction? She smiled. He sent me to get your honest assessment. Jason has completed all training modules with perfect scores. His site reports are exemplary. The team actually respects him now, I said, more to myself than anyone else. And what do you think? Laurette asked. She had always had a keen sense for reading people. I think he's genuinely changed, she said thoughtfully. And I think giving him real responsibility might cement that change. I leaned back in my chair, weighing her words. I'd tell Victor the first supported Jason's promotion, but on one strict condition. Jason needed to handle the upcoming community presentation entirely on his own. This was where it mattered, facing the people whose lives the project would impact, not hiding behind anyone else. The presentation was scheduled for the following week. It was a critical milestone, informing neighborhood residents about construction progress, timelines, and the ways their input had influenced design adjustments. It was high stakes, with the potential for tough questions from people who'd seen promises broken before. I attended incognito, settling into the back row of the community center. Jason arrived early, meticulously setting up displays and greeting residents with genuine warmth. When he stepped up to the podium, I noticed something unexpected. He was nervous. The old Jason would have masked any insecurity with bravado. This version of him faced it honestly. Good evening, everyone, he began. I'm Jason Harper, Assistant Project Coordinator. Some of you may remember when this project stalled last year. That failure was partly due to my mistakes, my shortcuts, my poor judgment. I compromised safety and, in doing so, broke your trust. A ripple of surprise ran through the room. Candor like that was rare. I'm here tonight not only to update you on our progress but to assure you that every aspect of this project now undergoes triple verification. Thanks to our partnership with Precision Protocol Consulting, nothing reaches construction without rigorous safety and compliance checks. He walked through the revised plans, carefully pointing out how community feedback had shaped tangible design changes. When tough questions came, he answered with honesty, even admitting, I don't know, but I'll find out and get back to you personally. By the end, skepticism had softened into cautious optimism. Residents lingered afterward, asking follow-up questions, and he addressed every one with patience and transparency. I slipped out before he could see me, but I'd witnessed enough. The next day, I called Victor. I heard Jason did well yesterday, he said immediately. He did, I replied. I was there. And your verdict? He asked, anticipation in his voice. I paused. My words would shape Jason's future. I support the promotion. He's earned it. Victor exhaled audibly, relief plain in his tone. Thank you, Lila. Your endorsement means everything. Remember, trust is rebuilt in small acts of integrity, repeated consistently over time. One strong presentation doesn't erase the past. I understand, I said. We all do. After hanging up, I lingered at my office window, gazing out at the downtown skyline. Cranes swung against the clear blue sky. Workers moved with purpose, and the community's faith in revitalization had begun to return. This wasn't the revenge I'd imagined when I returned from my honeymoon to 212 missed calls. It was something far more satisfying, an intentional reconstruction, not a destructive one. I hadn't ruined Jason or Victor. I had helped build a framework where they could grow into better versions of themselves while securing my own position of strength. And in doing so, I had created something far more enduring than a system only I could navigate, a model of accountability that could outlast any single project or person. That evening, Zoe and I walked past the construction site on our way to dinner, pausing to watch the sun set over the steel skeletons and half-finished facades. "Are you happy with how it all turned out?" he asked, squeezing my hand gently. I considered his question carefully. "I'm satisfied," I said. "Not because anyone suffered, but because real change happened. The company is safer. The buildings are sounder. The community will benefit. And Jason is." I paused, searching for the right word, feeling the weight of everything he'd learned, the transformation I'd witnessed. He was redeemed, not because of me, but because he had chosen to face his mistakes and build something better. "Jason is finally becoming the professional his role deserves," I said softly. "Whether he continues on that path, that's entirely in his hands." Zoe looked thoughtful. "You know, when I saw that text on our wedding day, I never imagined it would end like this. I thought you'd want revenge, burn it all to the ground." "Maybe I would have," I admitted, leaning my head against his shoulder. "But you showed me another way. You taught me that the best revenge isn't about tearing things down. Sometimes it's about rebuilding, on your terms, not theirs." He kissed the top of my head. "Speaking of rebuilding, the house renovations are finally finished. Should we invite Victor and Jason over to celebrate?" I chuckled. "Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Professional respect is one thing. Friendship is something entirely different." "Fair enough," he said with a smile. "One step at a time." "One step at a time," I echoed, and it felt like the perfect mantra for everything I'd been through. From the moment I got that text on my wedding day to the partnership that rose from the ashes of my firing, every single step had led me not just to survive, but to triumph in a way I hadn't even imagined. The downtown project would finish ahead of schedule and under budget. My consulting firm would continue to grow and thrive. And I would always be remembered as the woman who turned a wedding day firing into an industry-changing model for accountability and integrity. As Zoe and I walked, enjoying the fading warmth of the evening, my phone buzzed. A text from Jason: "Thank you for your support on the promotion. I won't let you down." I showed it to Zoe. He raised an eyebrow. "Are you going to reply?" I paused, considering. Then I typed, "Make sure you don't. Some gifts can't be returned." I hit send and realized the timing, exactly 1 year to the day after his gift to me on our wedding day. The symmetry wasn't lost on me, or, I suspected, on him. Some people might say I should have crushed Jason completely when I had the chance, dismantled Victor's company piece by piece, or taken a scorched earth approach. But they'd be missing the point. True power isn't about destruction. It's about having the ability to destroy, and choosing instead to build. It's about shaping reality according to your vision, rather than reacting to someone else's cruelty. In the end, I didn't just get even. I got ahead. Not by stooping to Jason's level, but by rising far above it, so high that it would take years for anyone else to catch up to where I stood. If you've stayed with me through this story, you might be wondering, could you have shown that kind of restraint? Could you have turned betrayal into opportunity, transformed revenge into reform? It's not an easy path. But sometimes the most satisfying victories aren't measured by what you destroy, they're measured by what you build from the ashes of what tried to destroy you. If this story resonated with you, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever turned a professional betrayal into an unexpected triumph? I'd love to hear how you transformed setbacks into stepping stones. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you won't miss the next story about navigating careers, relationships, and the sweet satisfaction of achieving success on your own terms.